Hey everybody, welcome to the nightly vid, and you're gonna see we're starting in the futures here. What we saw was a simultaneous break in the TAC on the weekly basis, and it's still going. So what we talked about over the weekend vid was this. You're gonna see TAC, potential RevStrat week bearish. At semis, RevStrat week bearish, right? What does that tell you? QQQ could also reverse. Now in this case, right, NASDAQ, RevStrat week bearish below this. 23499 on the NAS 100. NQs can be slightly different, 23600 just about, but they're bringing them in. RevStrat TAC, you'll see at the RevStrat week down, semis RevStrat week down. So with the simultaneous break, it's pretty simple. Right? You can just short the Qs, the TAC, the semis, and until the week reverses, we're good. Right? Things are going down. What we saw today on SPY, and this is why it's important when you're trading an inside week, like we said yesterday, be prepared both ways. Because you're going to get both sides of that price. So you're going to see today we had an outside day. And it started like this in the morning. And it really dropped down in here. So you're going to see in the morning, this is 9:30 Tuesday morning, new lows. What do we know after new lows? When it reclaims, it's going to new highs. New highs. What do we know about new highs? When it reclaims, it's going to new lows. What do we know about new lows, right? Fails to reclaim. What is that? Expansion. So you're going to see we're expanding this range below this, and then we get lower highs, lower lows, lower highs, lower lows, lower highs, lower lows, lower highs. So down they went. And on the US 500, it looks a little different, but it's important to know when you're stuck inside a range. So you're going to see, to start the day, what we identified was this. We had the broadening formation here, slightly lower lows, slightly higher highs, right? Notice all of this stuck inside of everything to the left here. If we look left, new highs, new lows. You'll see this broadening formation, boom, and get stuck in the middle. Boom, 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 boom. Acts as resistance, right? If we delete some of these lines here, acts as resistance, expansion. So it's important to know what happens in price, right? You're going to broaden. And then once you get out of that and you stay out, it's expansion. So you can see it gets bigger, then extends the range. Then you can see same thing down in here. New high, new low, new high. Now at this point, new lows, right? So does that extend or not would be the question. But pretty cool stuff today. So really, like, that's our main focus is, tech, weekly, bearish, tech, semis, Qs. Now going into tomorrow, right? If we're going to see things keep going to the downside, Dow Jones, the outside day, which shows aggression, it's going to look like this. 3 and then 2 to the downside if they're going to try and continue sending them lower. IBM 1 3 to the downside, and then that would need to go 3 2 is the same thing, right? When you see a 3, what's going to happen? Well, it's either going back through that or it's expanding it. So you can see the slight higher highs, reversal, 3 2 reversal, boom, new lows. Now can you get out of this tomorrow? Right? If not, notice how this is completely stuck to this high, to this low. They're just bouncing around in here. So you got to get out of the bottom and stay out if we're going to see continued bearish follow through on the stronger stuff. And the Dow is going to look similar. You're going to see the broadening formation. Got to get out of this thing and stay out of it. So far, they have not. Compare that to the Qs yet this morning. You're going to see really tiny broadening formation in here, but they get down here, extend the range. So we'll see if this can continue, but that's the main thing. Now, that being said, let's hop to the scanner. We did have a little bit of a glitch today on the scanner. I'm not sure if we figured it out yet, but what we noticed was there's a little bit of problems with the amount of 2s. So if we look at, let's just say industrials, 2 up, 59 2s up, right? And maybe this is right. It just doesn't seem right with how bearish the market was today. 2 down, 21. So it's half and half, or it's about half of the previous. And then 3 7. So maybe those numbers are correct, right? It just doesn't seem right for some reason. Now, how many of those were red? About 11. That does look right. So maybe I'll do this after, but there was some maybe problems with the data. Seems to be the case. What I think it is the fact that once you have a 3, I don't think it's accounted for by the percentage here, which I could be wrong. Like, these percentages do not add up to 100%. So I would have to take a look. Let me try one more thing. Well, just doing some quick little looking, it looks correct. So I think it's just a matter of, the data not looking the way we want it to. So perfectly fine. Actually, that's a good thing, right? It helps with the human error where, we go in today and we think that everything's down, but it's really not. So pretty neat. That being said, let's just take a look. What do we got for our inside days? Starting at the top, CI. Cigna. Yep. So Cigna is a 2 going 3 month. Very nice reversal last week. I believe it's in the healthcare sector. Got an inside day. You don't really have much pivot targets, but they're buying it. So maybe that starts flying even more so. You got some pivots up and left. Second here. Roblox. Inside day after some pedophile problems with Roblox. I don't know if I'm even allowed to say that on YouTube, but I guess we'll see what comes of it. Still an inside week, so more likely to rev strat, which is what we talked about, last time, things like Tesla, which there's a rev strat Tesla, not bad. You can see, like we talked about last night, here's your 32230 Tesla, boom, rev strat right down into there. Wix, is that the website? Yep. Wix inside day. It is 2 week up, slight lower lows on the month. So maybe they start 2 going 3 to the downside. We'll have to see. Not sure about options there, so put a question mark. A lot of nobodies, at least on the high ATR list here. Mid. It's not going to touch it. Looks mid. All right. Light. Stuck inside the week. TTD. So you can see that big 3 on the week. If they're getting out of that, this daily PMG to the downside could continue the wreckage. TEM, the inside day. Notice top of the broadening formation on the daily. So essentially back through all these guys. Put some stars next to there. LNG and the energies. Chop them up. ZEP. High ATR name. All right. BIIB. It is 3-2 month. Only thing I'd want to be aware of is like, you can look at this, right? Completely stuck into all this stuff. The big levels of reclaim. Who's to say they can't come back through here? I'm not sure. Let's see. We'll have to see. They're closer to reversal back up, but AMT real estates. That could turn to a big PMG, and we saw the real estates while the market's going down. That one's up. So AMT. We like AMT. Is there any other real estates? Not that I see at the top of the list here. DLR also has a really big PMG in there. There's a 2 down month right now. That is real estate. Okay, we like that too then. So these could turn into big PMGs tomorrow if real estates follow through. And the real estates are rev strat week to the upside this week. So slightly different compared to tech. TEMT. This is another, crazy volatility name here. See that pump them up. Potentially drop them all the way back down. Oh, it's the TEM 2X, so Tempest AI. Interesting. Next to TEM. All right. Starbucks, Disney, Clorox. Let's see. Starbucks 3-1 could cause RevStrat week down. Disney could cause a week up. So we're still seeing, a lot of more conflicted stuff. Although tech is really getting killed. Everything else looks a little bit. A lot of inside weeks on these inside days tonight, which is similar to last night. GTVA inside day could become the PMG to the upside. It's not the biggest mover in the world, but imagine if those options are cheap. All right, that covers it for inside days that have high ATRs. You got some cruise lines, CCL, and CLH inside. All right. So 2 up in red, Delta, which is a PMG. Tells you American Airlines, maybe. United Airlines, maybe a PMG back down with some profit takers. Let's see. ALAC and semis. Now is going to act as resistance against this broadening formation in here. It would be right there to try and expand it. I'm not sure. Let's see. XPI. Slightly 2 up in red. Pivot machine gun. It's conflicted with the month. JP Morgan. So we did see financials today. Did go 3-2-2 up, however, lower highs. So when you have this 3, it's a broadening formation. When you make the lower highs, it's trying to expand it to the downside. So maybe JP Morgan, you get the tick, tick, boom, tick down, tick up, and then boom, take all these guys out. This could be a really nice PMG. We're not seeing much else. So you got, some semis in there. See John Deere. Could become the Rev Strat pivot machine gun back down. Celsius also might have the big PMG in here. Obviously, their earnings they seem to have done really well, but doesn't mean we can't force some guys to take some profit in there. Outside of that, let's see, retail. Nice little mother bar reclaim in there. Let's see what retail looks like. Consumer, consumer cyclicals. Targets. Still an inside month. We got this broadening formation here, which could send them pivots back through this range here at the retails. Let's see. Deck. Slight poke up on the day and then back in. BBWI. Got the Randy Jackson potentially on the week, but you got this on the day. Decent little setup. So if you're a small account guy, you could be looking at that, or you could be looking at target. Right. And then the last thing I want to add in here is we did see a lot of the hotels today while the market's down. Pretty firm. So you'll see LVS inside day. MGM was going up today. You'll see I was just looking at the 2-week chart, 322 on the 2-week. And this is coming from our quarterly vid, the 2 quarter MGM. So I'm going to add some stars next to that. For the swing traders, that's something we like to know about. You can also be looking at the HLT, which is your Hilton. And you'll see it's also was a little bit more firm today. Wynn definitely took the cake. Like H, the Hyatt hotels, which not too much today. So, you know, with the airlines, the travel, that type of stuff perking up a little bit more. We did see that. Although airlines, right, with the Jets pivot machine gun, that's definitely something we'll want to know about. Definitely see those come back in tomorrow if the market stays weak. But I think that's going to cover it for the most part tonight. So here is your list. You can see Shenanigans, Zep, going to be in there. It's your high volatility stuff. Tech, semis, Qs, simultaneous break. And by the way, if you're like, Alex, we didn't talk about that last night, this and that. If you go to my X, I post all the time intraday. We posted the simultaneous break as that's occurring. And if you want alerts to this type of stuff, stratalerts.ai, so you don't miss a thing. But that being said, that is all I've got for you guys. Here is your summary if you didn't see it the first time. And I'll see you guys bright and early tomorrow morning if you're in stat. And if you are not, go check it out, stratalerts.ai. Adios and have a good one.